You're watching TelecomTV's exclusive video coverage of the first ever OPNFV Summit held here in San Francisco. I'm joined now by Franklin Flint, who is the Chief Technology Officer at the TIA. Franklin, thanks for joining us on TelecomTV.
Thanks for having me on.
What is the TIA as an association doing to support the development of NFV?
Well, we are a standards development organization, and we've already started having conversations with other standards development organizations who are involved in the NFV space. We have partnerships with industry associations like ETSI and the ITU and ADIS and others, and we share information with each other and talk about what's going on. In looking around the industry, seeing some of the gaps that are already out there, one of the big promises of NFV is this compatibility between all the different devices that are out there. And so we've announced that we're going to develop a lab where we're going to start testing interoperability between all the various NFV solutions on the market, both open and closed, and try to show to the industry that there is compatibility, and where there's not compatibility, we're going to help those companies work together by acting as the intermediary between those various vendors so that we can protect their IP.
Why is it so important that we have such a facility?
Well, someone's got to do this work. Right now, the carriers are doing the work by building their own labs and bringing people in. That's a very expensive proposition and is solving very specific problems. By building a single sandbox environment where they can all come together and do that work, the carriers and the people developing solutions can work together and say, these are the things we need to address. And I believe that once they start doing that work together, they're going to start discovering some common themes about what needs to be done as an organization or as an industry, and that can lead either to new open standards or to traditional developed standards.
Are you going to offer this facility just to US telcos and vendors, or are you opening up globally?
This is a global organization. The TIA has a lot of global members already. And we have some global carriers in our organization as well. So our goal is to work with this as a global solution. We are North American based though, so we will be in Washington, D.C. doing the work there with the federal government and so on. But it is global, and we are going to work with anyone who's willing to come in and work with us.
What's your timescales? When will we expect to see this in operation?
Well, we just got permission to kick this off from our board of directors. So we've got to do some hiring and building it out and put together the plan. We're going to put a steering committee together to narrow the broad scope that I just described to you down to what we can actually deliver in the first year. And once we do that, we'll have a time frame to start building it out.
Question I'm very curious about, and it's the perfect venue to ask it, is in the context of open solutions for NFV, what do we mean by open?
Well, I think there's several definitions of open. I believe what we're talking about here at OPNFV is the open source movement, by developing as a community in an open source way where anyone can contribute, and the output of that is open to anyone to use. That's what they mean by open here, which I think is a wonderful way to get things done quickly, and it leverages the expertise of everyone in the industry to create a single outcome or a single product. But there's also open in the sense of a lot of people building solutions only play a small role in the overall end-to-end solution, and they want to be able to work with everyone who has a viable product in this space that they aren't directly competing with. And so you look at companies who might only make hardware, they're going to be open to everyone on the software side to work with them to bring that to market. And I think that's another way to look at open as well.
We're hearing from a lot of people here at this event that as we move out of proof of concept through trials to commercial deployments, we're probably going to start with, for a good few years, with like a hybrid approach where it's not going to be fully based 100% on open source components, but there'll be some proprietary element. Do you think that's important to actually get things out there and in operation? Or do you think it's just we should hang around for 100% open source based?
Well, I don't know that open source based is the answer for everything anyway. There's a lot of great value that open source development does, and it can accelerate things, make them go forward. But it's also possible in a closed environment to get some really amazing things done where you're not trying to work with a big community of people to do that. If you have the expertise in-house and can develop something that's unique and proprietary and solves all the problems, but is still compatible with everything else that's out there, there's value in that as well. I believe both provide amazing amounts of value. But in terms of moving into the deployment phase, you're going to see some virtualization happening now. But right now it's more virtualized and less automated, and not truly a cloud-like thing that we've been talking about with NFV. The trick is moving to that fully automated, self-slicing, self-configuring network. And that's going to take some time before that can become viable.
And do you think that there are some aspects of the network that just can't become virtualized, that there is a limit to how much you can virtualize in the network?
Well, you obviously can't virtualize a physical connection, right? You're still going to have fiber optics connecting into the network, and there's going to have to be a transceiver and an encoder and a way to turn that signal into something that is an IP-based packet moving through the network. That's always going to be probably a physical layer thing. But in terms of all the functions that happen after it becomes an IP packet, I believe just about all of that can be virtualized.
So is the approach here that we adopt a framework, a standardized framework for NFV, but we have scope within that framework for different players to innovate and produce competitive solutions or give a competitive advantage?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can look at competitive advantages. There's always the lowest cost as one form of competitive advantage. There's also the most feature rich. There's also the easiest to configure and manage. There's also the end-to-end from one vendor where you can call one company to get all the support that you need. There's also the open to everybody approach where you always pick exactly the best thing for each component that you're putting into your network. So it really depends on the company building their network, what approach they want to take. And that can be different for every single carrier that's out there.
Franklin, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.